Hello everyone, my name is Saurabh Kumar and I welcome you all to my video series of AWS training. So in this particular video we have reached to part number 3 and previously we have already discussed about two things, that was cloud foundation, and then we have discussed about fundamental of cloud, where we have talked about service model, we have talked about deployment models. So let's begin this particular part, which is part number 3, and I will be covering here two things. One is cloud characteristics and second is cloud storage. So let's begin with cloud characteristics. First of all, there is a organization called NIST, National Institute of Standard and Technology. It is located in USA. They have identified five essential characteristics of any cloud. So any cloud service provider who want to provide cloud service, they must have these five essential characteristics inside their cloud. So what are they? Let me mention the name here. So first characteristics is on demand self service, meaning that if you are a cloud service provider, your cloud must be working in this situation that it should operate on demand self service. What does it mean? That, for example, this is the service provider here, and a service provider is having so many number of servers and services which they offer to the client. So if I am a client, if I am a customer of cloud, then I should have the power, I should have the control that anytime, whenever I want, I can do the self service. I can manage my resources by myself without having any interaction with the administrator. For example, let's say that today I have one VM running here, and maybe in my VM, let's say that my storage is 500 GB, but maybe because of my need I want to make it for 1 terabyte. Rather than having this 500 GB, I want to go for 1 terabyte. Or maybe I want to do any other change. Maybe there is a 1 GB RAM I have, but I want to go for now 2 GB RAM. So that changes which is required will be done by my side itself. I can do it by myself. I can choose what to do. So that function is called as a on-demand self-service. Means customer, the client is having a self-service. They can do whatever they want to do on their machine. Of course, there will be a kind of grant section will be done by the service provider side. Like for example, if I change from 500 GB to 1 terabyte, they will have to approve it. They will have to grant it. But the changes who will make it? The changes supposed to be done by the customer side itself. That is called as a self service. So this function, this characteristics must be there. That is the first condition for any of the cloud. Second thing is, when we talk about cloud characteristics, second is broad network access, meaning that whatever service you are offering from your cloud, it should be accessible anywhere. Anywhere means because all the cloud service is being offered through the internet, and internet is everywhere. So whoever is connected with internet, either it is in India, it is in England, or is it in America, or is it in somewhere in Australia. So anywhere you are, you should be having a access of your service which is provided by the cloud service provider. That's the second characteristics. So generally it means one thing, that it should be always available over the internet, and second is it should be available on any of the mobile devices. Let me repeat, mobile device means I'm not talking about a mobile phone or a smartphone. In IT we are talking about mobile device means any device which has the mobility, which can be moving, which can move with the customer. For example, your laptop, your tablet, these all are a mobile device in IT world. So these services should be accessible on any mobile devices. Like right now, for example, I am here in India with my laptop. Maybe tomorrow if I have to travel somewhere, maybe in Dubai, so I will move with my laptop. So wherever I go with my laptop, I should get that service there also. You can simply see some example, like if you access your Gmail, if you access Google Drive, if you have stored some data on Google Drive, and maybe it has synchronization with your laptop too. So maybe you have created a folder or something in your computer where you are keeping your data, and it automatically gets backup. So that backup process should not get a stop just because I have moved with my laptop to Dubai. It should keep working wherever I go. That is what the meaning of broad network access. So that is the second cloud characteristics every cloud service provider must be having or must be providing it. The third characteristics we have here is resource pooling. Very simple. Resource means what is the meaning of resource? Your compute, your storage, your network. So it should be having a function of pooling. Pooling means, let me give you one example here. Let's say that maybe I'm running a VM on one of the region. What is region now in cloud computing? I'm going to explain everything in upcoming video, but let's talk like that. Maybe AWS is having a region or a you can say data center somewhere, maybe in let's say that East America or US East. So maybe I have a VM there, and my VM is running in this region where I have some resources there. Maybe I am right now having, let's say that 2 terabyte of storage. Tomorrow when I decided to go from 2 terabyte to 4 terabyte or 5 terabyte, maybe it is not generally going to happen, but I'm just assuming, maybe if that resource is not available at that particular region, at that particular data center, your another data center maybe it's in West America, West US, should be connected together. There should be a pooling between your data center, cloud service provider data center, so that if I say that I want to have 5 terabyte storage now, immediately it will take those extra space from here and it will be providing me service. So for me, I will not be even worry about that either I'm getting data storage from here or here. What I'm getting at the end is I'm getting my service which I have requested for. But how it is possible? Because there is a resource pooling. The resource which is available at one region and another region, they are in a same pool, same group. So the resource, they all are combined and you will be able to consume them as a single place, as a single resource. Like maybe you have used this term pooling somewhere in a Windows server also. You do the pooling of it. You make pool means you make, you create a pool of two server, three server, like maybe you have two DNS server, you put them in the same pool, something like similar to that. So resource pooling means whatever resource you have at the cloud, it should be pooled with other center resources so that they all work like a same resource, and you can easily go beyond whatever you have at one center here. The fourth characteristics what we have is rapid elasticity, because elasticity is one of the most key point about the cloud is. I can explain it rapid elasticity with the term also like a auto scale. Auto scaling means what? Anytime if a customer is having more workload or something, their services should automatically scale up and scale down according to the requirement. For example, let's take example that maybe there is a specific date when the people are doing online shopping more. So maybe a customer is having a company of online shopping, so their server is getting maybe less traffic in other day, but on a specific date or for a specific week, maybe the load is there more. Maybe people are doing too much shopping. Let's take example of Christmas, or let's take example of any other festival. So that period of time, maybe if you are in India, there are so many different festivals are, you have Durga Puja or other. So whenever you have any such festival, obviously the demand is high of online shopping, so people are going more there, traffic is too much on the server of that company, so they want to have the auto scale, that whenever the maybe request comes more, whenever the requirement is, my server should scale up, but when I don't have that much resource utilization, it should automatically go a scale down. That function has to be there, and this function is known as a rapid elasticity. Elasticity means, you can understand the term elasticity. It is like a rubber that when it require, it can go bigger, and when there is no requirement, it can go a smaller back. So that has to be there. Rapid elasticity has to be there. That is the fourth. This is the fourth characteristics of any of the cloud. Now I'm going to the fifth characteristics of any cloud, that is measured resource. We all talk about money. We want to save the money. We want to have some service which we have to pay when we use, not just like you have a connection and you just pay this much amount, either you use either you don't. So the good way is measured resource. Means if for example in the month of July you have used your resource more, you have to pay more. Maybe in the month of September you have used less resource, you have to pay less. So measured resource has to be there. It should be proper monitored, that how much utilization I did, how much CPU was utilized, how much RAM was utilized, how much storage I occupied, and on the basis of that it should be pay as you use. The more you use, more you pay. The less you use, less you pay. So these are some of the five cloud characteristics are which has to be with any of the cloud service provider. Either you use the cloud service of Amazon as a AWS, either you use Azure from the Microsoft, or either you use Google Cloud also. So you will be getting these all characteristics there. You will be finding these all characteristics are there. So that was all about the cloud characteristics. Now I'm moving to the visual mode of cloud computing. Here you see, so according to NIST, this is how it works. First of all, you have a deployment model, which we have discussed in last video. We have public deployment model, we have private deployment model, we have hybrid, or we have for a specific community. On the top of that, what service you are looking for. So the major three service models are software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service. Others we have also discussed like business process as a service, then other can be like communication as a service. So those are a part or those comes under the category of SaaS itself. On the top of that, you see, this is the essential characteristics we have: resource pooling, broad network access, rapid elasticity, measured service, on-demand self-service. So these are the five characteristics. That is what we have been discussing right now. Now let us move to the next thing, that is what is object storage. So as I promised that in this particular video we will be talking about two things. One was cloud characteristics. Now we are moving to the object storage part or a storage part. So here, what is object storage? Object, I mean to say that object means can be anything. It can be text, it can be a photo, it can be a song, it can be a video. So whatever things you are putting on the cloud, what is the reason why you want to keep them on the cloud? So just like we move a photo from any of the device to PC to make simplify management and usage, to make them more better organized format, to protect them, to share photo, what we do generally, for example, if you have a DSLR camera, so you take a picture, but to make it better management on that photos, to make it better protection on it, to organize it, what do? We copy it to the computer, we save it there, we store in the PC. Not so, rather than storing in the memory card of DSLR camera, where do we put it? We put it in the computer. Why so? Because first condition is our computer storage is bigger than the memory card is in DSLR. Then we have better option to protect it, we have more option to share with others in the PC. That's why we move it to the PC, right? Similarly, IT cloud industry also use object store for similar reason. Like they want to have the consolidated data, they want to organize them properly, and they want to protect user data, so that in case, for example, I have very important information on my laptop, if because of any reason my laptop get broken, or maybe it is not able to start, or maybe I have to format everything, or maybe I just lost my laptop, but still my data will be protected. My data, if it is stored on the cloud, I will buy new device, I will open my Google Drive, I will open my OneDrive, I will open my Mega Drive, or any cloud service, and therefrom I will be able to receive my data back. That's the one condition. Second is, it also help us to manage the data, and it gives the faster search. If you keep anything on the cloud, you will be able to do a faster search, because the resource are there better compared to your personal laptop. The cloud service provider is using better resource quality. They are having enough amount of RAM, processor and all, and even the security is better there. So because of this all things, what we do is, what we recommend that let's keep our data on the cloud rather than keep it on my personal laptop or personal phone. So even we do the backup when we talk about the backup of our data, and we keep that backup on the cloud, because cloud gives us organized format of the data. They give us a better protection, they give the consolidate data. One thing I want to add here from my side, that when we talk about protect user data, and if you are thinking that maybe your data is on Google Drive or maybe Microsoft OneDrive, which is you are using as a free account. Generally, if you talk about Google Drive, they give you some free storage of 15 GB or 20 GB. So those free space which you are getting from Google Drive, if you read properly there the agreement, license agreement, or any detail of it, you will find that Google doesn't guarantee you for those data. That is free service, so there is no guarantee. Of course, for me, I trust, others people trust that the data is safe there, but of course they give you better security compared to your laptop, but there is no any such kind of commitment from the Google that I am going to secure your data 100%. Why? Because it is a free service. You are just using it, you are keeping your data to me, I'm giving you a free service, so you can keep it there. But if anything goes wrong with it, please don't complain to me, I am not giving any kind of guarantee to you. That is what the Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive is doing if you are having a free account. But of course, if you have a paid account, they provide you a better, you can say like a better security as well as the redundancy on it, because they keep those data in a format where they have a proper backup, they have proper kind of synchronization with the other servers. So that is another thing that's not related to it, but I just wanted to share with you, so that when you are keeping your data on the cloud, you should be aware about such kind of things. Next point about is that object storage characteristics. Whenever you are storing your data, whenever you are any cloud service provider is providing a storage, they should be having following characteristics there. You can see from this picture, first characteristic is linear scalability, because that's why the cloud is most important thing. There has to be a scalability all the time, a scale to the billions of objects. For example, today if you are keeping your data 2 GB, tomorrow maybe you need 200 GB also space on the cloud. So cloud service providers should give you complete freedom of scalability. There should not be a limitation that okay, today if you have 100 GB data and tomorrow if you get 110 GB, I don't have enough space. This should not be happening there. That's the first characteristics of any storage which you are doing on the cloud. So all the cloud service provider who provides you the cloud storage, they should give you the linear scalability. Second is no locking. There should be no any condition of locking, like maybe you are not able to write something or you are not able to create now new content on it. So there should be a complete freedom according to the obviously the permission, that is a separate part. Permission is separate part. You can create multiple user and you can give some specific kind of permission that who can do what. That is separate thing, but locking should not be there, that even the owner who has maybe uploaded the file, he is locked and he is not having a permission to write something or to create any new object over there. That should not happen. Let me also add one more term here which is not mentioned, which I want to add from my side, called as a document collaboration. So document collaboration has to be there. I'm writing it, document collaboration. Sorry for bad writing, I'm just using mouse, that's why it looks like that. So what is the meaning of document collaboration is? For example, you have a Google Drive. I'm just taking example of maybe Google Drive. So if you keep, or maybe Google Sheet. So if you have a Google Sheet where you have some information in it, you can share that Google Sheet with multiple user. Like for example, you have user X1, X2, X3, like that. So you can share this data with all these user, and whatever data they are going to edit in it, it will be immediately real time showing to the other users. That's the beauty of document collaboration. Why I'm talking about this? Because if you don't use cloud service, how do you share the files with each other? For example, there is a Excel sheet on which I want to work, and there are 2 3 more people who want to work on the same Excel file. So how do we do generally? If we don't use maybe Google cloud, what we do, we maybe I will type some data in that Excel, and then I send this file to you. You type your data there, then you send back to me. So this is just a time taking process, and it's not giving a better synchronization and real time output. So to have real time output, to make it in a better way, what do? We use such kind of maybe Google Sheet, where I create a Google Sheet, I type some data there, and I share with these users. So this user can immediately can see the data. They can also type the data, and I will be able to see from my side. So that is the second point here. That is, and there you can also define that which user can do what permission maybe you want to give them. Are you giving them permission to only view the data? Are you giving them permission to edit the data? Then one question comes, then what if I give them all read write permission? And what if x1 puts some data there in this sheet, and x2 comes and delete the data? So the option is always there. There is an option called as a version. So the owner of the data can go back to the previous version, and he can restore or recover the data if somebody has deleted it. But those are something advanced level. I'm not going to talk right now. Right now, let's just try to understand that these are some of the characteristics of any of the object storage are, where we have the first is scalability, linear scalability. Second is no locking. It should be giving you full permission to do anything which you want to do as an owner. Then the third is it should be web friendly, meaning that whatever data you keep on the cloud storage, it should be web friendly, means it should be very easily accessible. You can access it maybe on your laptop, maybe on your phone, maybe on your tablet, and it should not be blocked by any firewall or something. So the communication channel which it uses should be very something which is generally already allowed by most of the company. For example, if it uses HTTP, so if I am maybe at my home, or maybe if I am in my office where there is a firewall, where there is a IPS IDS devices are, still my drive I will be able to access there, because to access my Google Drive, to access my OneDrive, I use a protocol HTTP. So HTTP is never being blocked in any of the company. So that is what I mean to say, that it should be firewall friendly. It should not be blocked by the firewall, so that you have the better access on it. You should be having REST accessibility on it. The next thing is geoscale. Geoscale means your data should be available to any geographical location. Either you are in Asia, either you are in America, either you are in Africa, either you are in Australia. Wherever you go, your data should be there. Plus, there has to be a geo-replicated also, because most of the time this is also required. That thing again I'm going to discuss in a broad way in upcoming part of this training. But right now what I can tell you, that very many number of companies are who want to keep their data at different geographical location also. They want to have maybe one copy in Asia and one copy in maybe let's say that in America, so that those who are user in America, those who want to access the data, they will be getting from here. Those who are in Asia, they will be getting the data from here. So that is meaning of geoscale and geo-replication. The next point is support for large file. Your Google service, or maybe if you talk about Microsoft OneDrive, they supports for the large file. If you use a paid account, you will be able to store any big size of file, until unless you have subscribed for that much site. Then the next point is metadata and extensibility. So what is metadata? Metadata, if I try to explain in a shortcut, it is just the information about your object, information about your data which you are storing there. So objects can be extended to multiple policies like immutability, retention, etc. These things has to be there. So these all are the characteristics of object storage on the cloud. Any storage, cloud storage, if you talk about any cloud storage example, if you take, they all follow, they all provide these all characteristics, they all have these characteristics on their cloud service. Now I'm moving to the next part, that is object storage concept. When you are storing your object, what are the concepts you supposed to be aware about, you supposed to be knowing about? For example, I have maybe, let's say that 5 pictures. So when I upload those 5 pictures on my cloud storage, what are the things happen behind? Meaning that my cloud service provider, they what are the information they grab from there, and how do they store it? What is the concept they are using to store the data, so that it can be easy to fetch up, it can be easy to search, it can be easy to take back from the data storage. So they use following type of concept. First concept is called as a object ID. Every data which you store on the cloud, it will be having a unique object ID. This object ID term has actually come from the C programming language, where we have a term called as a pointer. So similar to that pointer, object ID is also something which is just pointing out where your data is stored. If I compare it with maybe any of the book, for example, if you buy a book, it has an index page in a start note, so which is having a pointer that, okay, chapter number 5 start with page number, let's say 160. Similar to that, your cloud storage also generate an object ID, and that object ID represents that where this exactly the data is stored on the cloud. So that whenever you do the search, or whenever the cloud service provider manage those data, they use this object ID as a unique ID. Everywhere object ID or similar kind of things are there. Concept is everywhere. For example, if you have a Linux computer, in Linux computer, whenever you create a user account, they have a user ID. You may have seen that root is having maybe user ID 501. If you create another administrator account, it's having 502, something like that. Every system in a network is having a system ID. So this is something like a unique identification number. So every object is also going to have object ID. Whatever object, whatever data you store, maybe if you store a video on a Google Drive, or maybe on any cloud storage, it will have a unique object ID of it. That's the first concept they use. Secondly, they look for metadata. So what is metadata is, as I told you before also, metadata means it is a information about the data. Information of data means anything, detail of the data. So generally this metadata is characterized, or you can say like there are 3 types of metadata we have. First is a structure. A structure metadata means how the data is going to be stored, how the format of rows, column will be, how the index will be. That is called as a structure metadata. Second metadata is descriptive metadata, meaning that it will be keeping information like the title of your file, the keyword about that file, the data body, how it is. Those information will be stored in the metadata, and that type of information called as a descriptive metadata. If you have any file or folder also in your computer, no, just take right click on your file folder, go to property and click on details. You will be able to see this information there, like what is the title of your file, what is the keyword about it, what is the data body is all about. Like if you have maybe like a video file, it will be telling you what is the resolution and all you are using there. And the last third type of metadata is administrative metadata, meaning that this will be keeping information like access control list. For example, if you have stored some data, if you have stored something on maybe on Google Drive or any cloud, then who is having rights to access it, who is having rights to change it, who is having rights to read it, those kind of information is called as a administrative metadata. So that will be stored in a administrative metadata, plus the file type, what kind of data you are having there. Is it a doc file, is it a PDF file, is it a Excel file, what type of file it is, that information is called as a administrative metadata. So I hope it's clear for you that what is metadata is. A metadata means information about the data, not the your original data. What it is just the information about the data, like what type of data it is, who is having permission for it, what is the title, what is the keyword, what is how it is going to be stored. Those informations are being stored as a metadata. First is object ID, second is metadata, third thing is blob, or we call it also data. Why I'm not writing here data word? Because data is something like a generic word. It is being used by all Windows machine and everywhere. But in a condition of Azure, they generally call it blob. And if I talk about Amazon, Amazon call it bucket. So it is just like I can say it's not like a container, but I can say, for example, it is a container which is going to, or you can say it's like your original data which you are storing there, any video, which MP3 or your text file which you are storing there. So it is a collection of text, image, video, audio, any type of file which you are storing there, that is called as a blob, or it is called as a bucket there in cloud computing area. In the terminology of cloud computing, we call them either blob or either bucket. If you are using Azure cloud, they call it blob. If you are using Amazon cloud, they call it bucket. Same when we are keeping it in our computer, we call it as a data. So it is also known as object storage, and it is something like a folder or a place where we are storing our data, and the data can be anything. It can be text, image, video, audio, anything. And the last thing about the storage concept is replica or replication. Because whenever you are keeping your data, for example, if you keep your data on this data center, you never know what can happen with this data center. Maybe there will be a disaster and this data center will crash down. So to solve this problem, to give a proper backup for you, there has to be a proper replication of this data with the another data center, with the another region, with the another location. So this replication can be within the same location also, maybe from one server to another server, or it can be at the multiple location also. Maybe one server is in a data center in Mumbai, and another one is maybe in somewhere else, maybe in Tokyo. So that is the another thing concept is there has to be a replica, so that in case something goes wrong with one main storage, there should be a backup which can give me the option to get my data back. So I hope it is clear to all of you that whenever we are storing some object on the cloud, they use this concept. They use object ID, they use metadata. Metadata is having three categories: structured, descriptive, and administrative. Then they use blob and they use replica. Now I'm moving to the next, that is cloud storage example, meaning that what are the examples available. What exactly the examples of cloud storage are, where you can store your data, where you can keep your data. So these are following examples are, we have from Amazon, it is called as a S3. S3 means 3 times S, that is simple storage service. So Amazon give us a storage, cloud storage called as a S3, that is simple storage services. We are going to see this how to manage or create S3 and all those kind of things in the practical part of it. Then when we talk about from Microsoft, they call it Microsoft Azure Storage, where you can keep your storage. They provide cloud storage. The third example is Google Drive. Maybe most of you have been using it because it provides you some free space there, and after that you will be paid to use it. Then OpenStack Swift, that is another example of cloud storage. Then we have EMC Atmos. Then there are very many number of multi-cloud services also there are, who allow you to store the data, like if I talk about Mega Store or Mega Drive. So there also you keep your data. Those are also cloud storage examples are. One example I have added here called as a multi-cloud. So this is a name, you can have a note of it. This multi-cloud is designed to tie together all cloud storage services in one platform. Meaning that, for example, let's say that I have a user account in let's say that in Google Drive. So I have maybe some of my data I store on Google Drive. Maybe I also have some data at OneDrive, which is from Microsoft, because it is also giving me some free space, so I keep some data there. Maybe I also have somewhere else, maybe on S3. So if you have multiple such kind of cloud storage, if you want to access the data from there, what you have to do, you have to go to your browser, right? And you have to first go to drive.google.com, then put your username, then your password, and then you get access of Google Drive. Similarly, you go to onedrive.com, and there you get the access of your data which is stored on OneDrive. Then maybe you have another one more Google Drive account, so you have to log in with that credential there. That is a kind of hectic task. So to make them combine from one interface, if you want to access them, you can use multi-cloud. So you can just have a multi-cloud, you can just go to multi-cloud site, and from there when you log in, you will be able to add these accounts there, and then you will be having a single interface where from you will be able to manage or see your drives or data which are stored maybe on Google Drive, maybe or OneDrive, like that. So maybe same what I have mentioned here, that maybe you have a user account or your data are stored on Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive, Mega Drive, like that. You can access all those data at one interface, at one console, by using the multi-cloud. That's the use of multi-cloud. But multi-cloud is not that much highly secure, so I will not recommend you to use multi-cloud if you are keeping some sensitive information, maybe like your family picture or any sensitive information which you don't want to disclose or something. Please don't use multi-cloud. It is not that much highly secure and recommended from my side. But still I'm just mentioning it here, the name, because maybe if you want to just keep some normal kind of data, you can use multi-cloud to have a single interface to access your data from multiple cloud storage. So that was all about in this particular part 3. We have discussed about the cloud characteristics. We have also discussed about cloud storage, where we discuss about cloud storage example, we discuss about cloud storage concepts, we discuss about cloud storage characteristics. So I hope this was informative enough for you all, and by the end of it I would like to go for some question answer, which you should give me the answer, because these are the whatever question I am going to display, those questions has been discussed already in this particular video. So the first question is, what are the 5 name, or give the 5 name of the characteristics for cloud by NIST. So NIST has given 5 characteristics for any of the cloud. What are their name are? Please mention it. So if you have really you was enjoying this video series, if you was listening carefully, if you are attentive in the session, you must be knowing these 5 characteristics and you will be able to answer this question. Second is, what are the 4 concepts for object storage we have discussed in this video? Please name of them. Then give an example of multi-cloud service management web application who provides single dashboard or single interface for multiple cloud provider. We have just discussed, so kindly name the service. And then the fourth question is, IT cloud industry uses object stores for what? IT cloud industry or any industry, any company, they use object stores or they use cloud storage for what purpose? What is the main reason? Why do they use cloud storage? What is the benefit they get from there? So kindly name them. That's all. The final question from this topic is, name object storage characteristics. What are the object storage characteristics we have discussed in this video? So that was all in this video, and I have tried my best to provide the enough and sufficient information in this video, and I hope this video was informative enough for all of you, and I would like to thank you for watching.